New York's mayor has some nightmare news for the city.
Mayor Mamdani is saying that if the state doesn't tax the rich, they'll have to raise property tax here in the city.
And it's all part of his new spending plan that he calls a last resort.
If we do not fix this structural imbalance and do not heed the calls of New Yorkers to raise taxes on the wealthy, this crisis will not disappear. It will simply return, year after year, forcing harder and harsher choices each time.
Why don't you spend less money?
If we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced down a second.
What's that?
More harmful path.
Harmful?
Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our own control.
Like saving money?
We would have to raise property taxes.
Oh, property tax!
We would also be forced to raid our reserves. To balance the budget as required by law, our preliminary budget takes the only path within our control, the second path.
So there's only two paths? Either the rich people pay for what I want, or the poor people pay for what I want. But here's where things get wild. The local CBS reporter confronted him on his ideology. Listen to this.
I wonder if we have a situation where this is a clash between ideology and reality. And if faced with the fact that you won't get those taxes from Albany, would you really, really, really raise property taxes here in New York City?
Is he serious?
This is not a conversation on the basis of ideology.
Oh, it's
this
not
is a
ideology.
Conversation
has nothing to do with
about
communism.
A fiscal crisis. I have long believed in the importance of taxing the rich. I've said so publicly many a time.
That's called ideology.
And I've long believed in the need for the state and the city's relationship to be a fair one. What we are speaking about in this moment, however, is not just that long-standing belief, the long-standing
ideology
issues that have characterized that relationship, but a generational fiscal crisis of $5.4 billion. And when faced with this crisis, the question is, who should pay these taxes?
No, how about
I believe
no
that
one?
It should be the wealthiest New Yorkers, the most profitable corporations. I believe that they can afford to pay a little bit more. We are in the most expensive city in the United States of America.
So why is our plan to make the city less affordable for everyone here? You want to go out and raise taxes on the millionaires and on the people that have jobs and businesses here? Where do you think they're going to get the money to pay those taxes? They're going to get it from people's paychecks. They're going to get it from worse services. And if he doesn't get his way, you're going to have to pay.
Flushing, Queens is a neighborhood of homeowners who are proud of their leafy streets.
These are the people who are going to pay.
And the ability to have a touch of suburbia. Many, like Paul Graziano, have lived in the neighborhood for decades. But now they're worried they could be forced out by Mayor Mamdani's threat of a huge property tax hike. He says that his neighbors,
I think they would freak out.
Paul is worried too.
Absolutely impinge everything. I mean, I'm raising a 9-year-old kid, and everybody knows when you're raising kids, it's every dollar counts.
His taxes have already skyrocketed. When he bought this home in the neighborhood he grew up in, the taxes were $2,800. Now they're $11,000.
Wow.
Mamdani tax hike would mean another hike of over $1,000.
Look at all this math right here. You don't see the idea of removing any of this stuff.
And he's furious.
This is coming from someone who has never had to fight for anything in his life, who grew up in privilege and wealth. So, of course, raising property taxes on rich people, such as himself, isn't much of a burden.
But it's not just
because Mamdani's
and
rich.
Korshak owns 2 small West Side buildings, which each have 10 apartments.
There's no restraint. They just come to us as if we're an ATM machine.
She says the Mamdani tax hike, if it comes to fruition, will affect her tenants, too.
It's going to make it much harder for me to replace a boiler. Instead, I'm going to repair it.
Here's the dirty little secret. The taxes are coming from this landlord one way or another. Either she's going to pay the taxes on her income of over $1 million a year, or she's going to pay it back in property taxes. And guess who gets to foot the bill for that? The renters that live in her buildings. And we wonder why New York has an affordability crisis.
I firmly believe in the need to make this an affordable city. I believe that we do so and reckon with structural crises
Not going to happen this way.
by pursuing the first path, one of raising taxes on the richest New Yorkers, the most profitable corporations, and ending the drain.
That's so crazy. You can't do that and make things affordable.
Raise the property taxes.
I do not want to raise property taxes. I have said time and time again that it is a broken system, one that we are sincerely looking to reform, which is...
But I'm going to use this broken system to get what I want one way or another. And look at this, the Queensboro president who endorsed Mamdani, he's already coming out against this, even though he's for all the same policies.
Well, we saw the foreclosure crisis. Where did it peak at? The foreclosure crisis always peaked in Southeast Queens. So without a doubt, you're pushing people out of their homes. And even as we talk about a pathway to affordable housing and a pathway to ownership, it's hard to buy a home now, so you're really setting back generational wealth, and you're going to force people out of their homes. Yeah, that's the whole point, buddy. And we've already seen what happened. You endorsed it. The Southeast Queens was hit hard, extremely hard.
That wasn't what he campaigned on.
Oh, that wasn't what he campaigned on, which means he's essentially been caught lying.
Threatened to increase property taxes by 9.5% on all of New York City if his tax the rich plan does not go through the state of New York. Zohran's first real test as the mayor of New York City is to close the budget gap of $5.4 billion. Zohran's current budget for 2027 is $127 billion.
You can't find $5 billion?
That is more than the entire state of Florida spends on their budget. This is the budget not for the state of New York, city of New York. Zohran's initial plan was to raise taxes on the ultra wealthy,
which they would pass
and the
on
most
to everyone
profitable
else,
corporations, and address the fiscal imbalance between our city and state. Here's the thing: he can't do that. The state of New York has to agree to that. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York,
she's trying to win election.
She will not increase the taxes once again, as in the past this has led to too many wealthy New Yorkers leaving. The other option
could just
for
save
Zohran,
the money,
or as he calls it, the last resort, even though this is option 2.
What a threat.
Balancing the budget on the backs of working people using the only tools at the city's disposal, which is increasing property taxes by 9.5%.
The rainy day
will
fund.
also be going into the city's rainy day fund, a move opposed by some members of the city council. We will keep an eye on this. Nothing is...
And the worst part about this is the money that he wants is already on the screen right here. We got a $127 billion budget, and we need to save a tiny amount of that. All you have to do is cut programs identified by the New York Post that might not exactly be sustainable in the first place, but nope, don't want to do that.
So I guess he's asking, what's a 2% tax increase on a multimillionaire?
If you're already the highest tax jurisdiction in America, it's a massive tax. You know, what I love about this guy, and I'm giving him credit, he goes big. He goes big, and he's got a fantastic social media.
He doesn't waste time
either.
This
is great. This is bat poo-poo crazy, what he is proposing. And probably sometime next year, within 12 to 18 months, I will meet him in Miami and give him real estate agent of the year award.
Yeah, Florida's about to be expensive.
I'm not happy with what's happening. I can't get across the bridge anymore. I live in Miami Beach. Everybody from New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts is moving into my neighborhood. I'm pissed off. And this guy's just doing more of it. What he's proposing is beyond insane, but I love it.
You are very dramatic.
I'm like everybody else. Listen, you guys live here. You're not paying your fair share.
I don't live here.
You've got to pay 110%. That's the right thing to do.
That's right. It's the people on the news. These are the people who are going to have to pay. And if they own an apartment and they don't have to pay on their multi-million-dollar income, they're going to pay on their apartment because the property taxes are going up. Nobody wants to save money. But that's not what socialists get elected to do, is it? It's to spend other people's money.
Was how it was going to be. It's not even been 6 weeks since he's been in office, or it's just been about that.
Everyone knew this. He ran on this.
And everybody at home, this is a comparison of New York City to other cities. Other states.
Look at this.
Pennsylvania and Florida, gigantic states, have lower budgets and much higher population than New York, and yet
you're telling me there's no money in here
to save. More of that to come.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much exactly what he told New Yorkers he was intending to do.
Except he didn't say the money was going to come from average people. He didn't say it was going to come from Aunt May and Uncle Ben living over there in Queens. And they voted for him, and now they're going to have to pay because the governor's already said no. But that's how socialism works. Once you don't have access to this guy's money, you got to go after this guy over here. That's the economic system. That's the ideology. Feel like you're working every single month just to pay the banks? You're not alone. Credit card bills, personal loans, medical debt, the calls and the fees just keep piling up. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has customized options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and craft a customized plan designed just for you. There is no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save money, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, in your pocket. PDS Debt is A-rated by the Better Business Bureau, boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google, and holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS Debt has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. PDS Debt has customized options for anyone struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills. Plus, PDS Debt understands your specific scenario. They've seen it before and will help provide alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. Plus, every month you wait costs you more money in interest and fees. The best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is right now. Don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/cash. That's pdsdebt.com/cash. If I were in debt, this is exactly what I would do. pdsdebt.com/cash. Now, let's get back to the video.
Gotta love this shakedown, right? Bankrupt our state, or else I'm going to bankrupt our city,
Wow.
which is what it will amount to with this kind of budget and those kind of tax increases. My favorite part about the progressive left these days, Dana, is this childlike sense of wonderment and amazement that all of the policies that they promised in campaigns and rhetoric throughout the years is an unworkable disaster and has failed every civilization in every corner of this planet. Of course, this is going to be the end result. It's interesting that
He's making a good point here. The idea of socialism being the end result. That's because it is. Progressivism progresses towards socialism. They want all this free stuff. They want to be an open border city. They want to have luxury hotels for folks that came into America without permission. Well, they can have all that stuff, but then when it comes time to pay the bill, what will the solution be? The solution will either be cancel all the stuff that you just paid for and want to keep paying for, or go and get the money somewhere. And that's what this is. This is the end result of progressivism, and everybody watching this needs to know that.
Needless to say, neither option going over well with some of his supporters. Controller Mark Levine in charge of keeping an eye on the city's financials, right? And he is our guest this morning to bring us up to date on the. We talked about a few weeks ago a $12 billion budget deficit. Then it became 7. Now it's 5.5.
Yeah, it
right?
keeps shrinking.
How bad, when you look at the numbers, would you say it really is?
There's lying.
This is a major challenge.
Yeah.
This is the biggest budget gap that we have faced in New York City since the Great Recession. And it's pretty remarkable that with an economy that is strong and tax revenue that is increasing, we are facing this kind of mess.
It's not remarkable. We were the center of the asylum crisis right here in New York City. We had people moving into luxury hotels, living there for years, and everything was free.
And it's because of bad practices dating back years, where we underestimated expenses and used one-shot gimmicks. And, now we're paying the price.
Yeah.
I think we can get out of this if we are smart, but we've all got to ask ourselves, how can we do better on fiscal management so we never get in this hole again?
But we're not asking that question.
Yeah, Mayor Mamdani blames the Adams administration, obviously. I mean, everybody ends up blaming whoever was before them. But where did the money go then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good question.
Tax revenue has been surging, actually. It's up year over year, every year.
So why do we need to raise it?
Expenses are growing faster. And they were not accounted for in the budget. And there are some expense lines. We have a program for housing vouchers that's growing by 4 to 5% a month.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you do that math over a couple of years. And
they're dancing around the real reason why the city lost all of its money. It spent it. And the really crazy part about this is nothing that the past mayor spent money on is something that the new mayor would have said no to. The new mayor, if he were mayor in the past, he wouldn't have turned the buses around that were headed here from the southern border. He wouldn't have told people they couldn't stay in New York City, the best sanctuary city in America. Of course not.
What he just said there, Marcia.
This is the woman that confronted him, the reporter.
If you ask me, he's trying to raise an army. Remember that army of volunteers that help him get elected? Well, he wants an army of people that are going to call their elected officials and scream bloody murder, don't raise my taxes.
Wow. Well, you know, at this news conference that you attended, you did ask the mayor if he would really do this, if he would really raise property taxes. tell everyone what he said, but
well,
also
he actually dodged that question. But the truth of the matter is that a lot can happen. This is a preliminary spending plan. The budget happens around May, depending on what happens in Albany. And a lot can happen. Revenues could go up. The state could decide to give more money. He could find waste in government agencies. The real question is this. It's an election year. Is the governor going to raise taxes? Is the legislature going to raise taxes when they have to face the voters?
He's trying to force that to happen. This is basically the mayor of New York going to the governor and saying, do this now or people will suffer, and you're trying to get votes. He's put the governor of New York in a position where she has to choose whose votes does she want and who is she going to break a promise to.
The property tax increase, if the city was forced to do so, would be at a 9.5% increase.
10%.
This is something that we do not want to do, and this is something that we are going to utilize every single option to ensure does not come to pass.
But to some, it was a cynical attempt to leverage his popularity to wring more money out of Albany. Facing re-election, Governor Hochul has already ruled out taxing the rich, even though, by Mamdani's calculations, it's only 33,000 New York City residents. And today, the governor said she was against a property tax.
I'm not supportive of a property tax increase. I don't know that that's necessary.
Councilman Simcha Felder, a veteran of both Albany and the city council, predicted that there would not be a property tax hike.
I think that there are a lot of tricks that magicians, and past mayors, including Bloomberg and Giuliani, figured out at the end.
Those were different mayors.
I look forward to the current mayor succeeding at that as well.
So you're looking for tricks and magic.
Yes, and it occurs. And it occurs.
And what's crazy is it already occurred where when the mayor went out and said, look, we better raise taxes right now, he went to Albany and he said, hey, look, it's a $12 billion budget gap. And people came back and they were like, no, it's not actually that big. It's like 7. And here we are today and it's 5. So the amount of money that he needs keeps going down. And the governor hasn't even had to do anything yet. She is between a rock and a hard place on this. And the real question that people have is, okay, let's say Governor Hochul makes it through this election year. Is the mayor of New York going to stop putting pressure on her for the signature policy that he ran on, which was taxing the rich? Of course not. She's going to be under pressure from the mayor of New York City like never before. And people are wondering if she's going to cave.
On more than 3 million residential apartments and over 100,000 commercial buildings. He would draw down $980 million from the city's rainy day fund.
And look at this. They're going to take money from some sort of rainy day fund, which has $1 billion in it somehow that I guess they didn't manage to spend already. And then there's retiree health benefits. So people that worked their whole lives and retired are now going to have less money. This is the plan. This is not an affordability agenda here. What this is going to do is this is going to lower the ability of everybody to be able to afford New York. And then people are going to need even more money. If there are any rich people left here, he's going to have to hit them even harder once this happens.
And another $229 million from the Retiree Health Benefits Fund.
That's crazy.
What we are announcing is a path of last resort.
The mayor says there would be no cuts to city services and increased spending for snow removal, outreach to the homeless, and services for the mentally ill. But the city's property taxes haven't been raised in 23 years.
That's why they're the target.
Now is not the time, according to the council speaker and finance chair. The council believes there are additional areas of savings and revenue that deserve careful scrutiny.
Savings!
Queensborough President Donovan Richards.
Think about the senior citizens who's living on the margins already.
Right.
We have a food insecurity issue.
They're
People are
prisoners.
struggling out there. And
That's why they're going to get taxed.
He should be decreasing spending that isn't improving New Yorkers' lives. That's where he should be focused now. Not increasing taxes, but decreasing unuseful spending.
Tonight, progressive council members like Lincoln Ressler are counting on the governor and state lawmakers to come through with the money.
And if we are unable to get it, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Governor Kathy Hochul has ruled out raising taxes. Tonight, the Democratic Socialists of America say not to raise taxes would be a declaration of war on Mamdani's affordability agenda.
Of course it would, because we're talking about an ideology here. We're not talking about policy. We're talking about the belief that we need to spend money no matter what, and that the only way to get that money is from people who have too much of it. And the fascinating thing about all of this is every single person that voted for Mr. Mamdani thought to themselves, my life in New York City and my overpriced apartment is very difficult. This is a guy who's out there saying he wants to make things more affordable. He wants to freeze rents. He wants to give away free groceries. He wants to do all this stuff. I'm going to vote for that. But these people never imagined that there were people out there in New York who were doing worse than they were, and that they were the ones who were going to have to end up paying for all of this. So although the mayor lied to some people by saying that he wasn't going to go after the middle class for taxes, he's been very true to the platform and economic system and ideology that he ran on. What do you think about that? See you in the next video.